DDG, episode 83. I am an allergy-filled Dave Hunt today, and I'm joined by Michael Swick.
How is it going, Dave? I don't have allergies, but I feel like I had a little bit of adventure this week, going out way more than usual. So I feel like I have like sniffles from trying to go to a baseball game during a storm.
Yeah. No, mine's just like I think the pollen's just out of control here. We had a bunch of days. It was like I played a softball game last week in like 85-degree weather, and then I subbed for a friend's team like 2 days later, and it was like 55. So like the weather drop has been dramatic, and then it's a nice day today, but just a lot of the cotton's out, and it's June. Like it's June. Like wow.
Yeah.
Today's June. So like the year's kind of on the halfway point. So that's crazy. But we are obviously Digital Days Gaming. We are a weekly podcast that posts to podcast services every Thursday morning at 6 a.m. If there's a podcast service that you use and we're not on, please let us know. If your podcast service lets you leave a review with words and stars and emojis, like, could you do that? Like, that's really helpful. So if you haven't left a review, please leave a review. You can also just check out our website, digitaldaysgaming.com. It'll link you to all of our stuff, whatever service you use for that as well. And as we have other show notes in there, Facebook group, Discord, Twitters, everything's in the show notes attached to this podcast. And we're going to jump right into the news.
Yeah, so we knew going into last week, when we recorded last Monday or Tuesday, that we would have a Horizon stream and we'd have a Dying Light stream. But then a bunch of other publishers decided they're also going to host streams. So this is just a stream recap. I don't know if Dave watched all of these, but I imagine you watched at least 2 of them. But we got 14 minutes of Horizon gameplay. Spoiler, game looks really good.
Really, really good.
Really good. I don't know. I would have to look at like Horizon again. I feel like it looked way more like cartoony in the new reveal. I just don't know if that's the color palettes being so much.
Yeah, I think I think that the PlayStation 5 gives them a more diverse palette of things to use, and I think sometimes like it wasn't. I never really felt like Horizon was trying to be like a 1-for-1. Mm-hmm. It definitely has an aesthetic it's going for with its characters and models, and you can definitely tell that you're playing a game. I don't think, like, obviously Aloy looks like a real person, but some of the other characters look like real people, but they definitely have some unique characteristics that you necessarily wouldn't see on current people right now. So it's obviously supposed to take place in a much futuristic time frame, and I think it's kind of like going back and forth between those as well. Like I really feel like it is, even though it's mechanics and robots, like I still think it's got it going for a Jurassic style theme. I feel like
that's like the whole hook for that basically.
Yeah. So, but it's a futuristic Jurassic. So I think that like I'm not really sure how well those two things like tie together. Because I definitely get, and I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it's just me. I definitely get a little bit of Monster Hunter vibes from it in terms of like the character models.
Yeah. I mean, because you haven't played the first one, right?
Not deep. Like I played probably like 6 or 8 hours.
All that's explained pretty well in the lore, from what I remember. I haven't finished it, but basically Sarah was playing it in quarantine, so I got to watch it like twice.
Yeah, I need to play it, and this will probably motivate me to play it, but we didn't get a date. So we
didn't get a date. I think they're still holding that just until they can probably like nail a more confirmed date, because they still have a partnership with Summer Games Fest, which we'll talk about a little bit as some of those. Yeah,
but you also felt like that was just a logo kind of being thrown on there. So
yeah, but it could be something more. We'll talk about it. Far Cry did.
Yeah, I was hoping for a date with Horizon, and I wasn't expecting a date with Far Cry.
But Horizon showed more footage than Far Cry.
Yep.
Far Cry,
it's so weird. Like, it's so weird. And unless they're just planning, unless it's obviously it's 2 different publishers, 2 different, not even necessarily 2 different directions, but 2 different thoughts on marketing. Far Cry is Far Cry, like, and it's just taking place in another made up thing that's not real life but is real life,
which they've already backtracked and gone back and forth on, which is just hilarious.
And then Horizon is Horizon. Like, these are 2 games that we know what they are, and one showed a lot of gameplay. It wasn't 14 minutes of gameplay.
It was close though. Like in terms of like
consecutive game it was 14 consecutive minutes of what a player would play.
Yes.
So
Gameplay.
Sure, that's gameplay. Yeah. But there was more. There was a little bit more dialogue and cutscene stuff going in there. I have my questions and concerns about Horizon, what they showed, but I also have to remember that they probably had the HUD turned off most of the time. So in terms of where Aloy was going, like the player probably already knows where to go. Versus it's open world, but there's still waypoints. Like that still happens. But that's beside the point. I just think that the weirdness that's going on, I'm very concerned about how this game's going to run on a PS4.
Yeah, they didn't mention it. They didn't show it. I'm sure we'll find out more, or they'll finally just kill the idea of a PS4 version of this game. If they haven't already, but I don't think they have.
No,
so.
At the end of the trailer, they showed both consoles.
Yeah, so I don't know.
So, like, they're committed. Like, and it's going to work. Like, I have faith that Sony's going to make it work.
Miles
but
worked, right?
Yeah, but I still think Miles is built for... I don't know. I felt like Miles was built for PS4 and up-res the PS5.
But you went down to see what Miles looked like on PS4 when your kid was playing it. You said there was a dramatic difference between like quality.
In terms of like the way the cutscenes functioned and just the detail on it. Yeah, but I know like Horizon. My understanding is Horizon, the first one, pushed PS4 Pros to the edge, right? Like with the fans.
Yeah. Like most Sony first party games, they always like push that hardware.
So like I just hope that they developed with the PS4 as the common denominator and then just made it look better, like upscaled it. Like that's the hope, and then that the PS4 version is the base version, and then they just go up with it versus taking the PS5 version and trying to go down with it.
I would imagine Herman Holst, former head of Guerrilla, now head of Sony Worldwide Studios, would make sure that the first game from the studio he founded on the next gen consoles is going to be.
I agree. Like and I hope it's great. But I mean, you're going to talk about some of it later of like why PS4 still needs to be a viable solution, and I just have my concerns.
Yeah,
that's all. Like I have faith that Sony will take care of it and treat it right. But you're going to pay the same price for an inferior version because you don't have access to a console yet, and that sucks.
Yeah, and that will be a determining factor for a lot of people. I know there'll probably be people in our Facebook group that are going to be like, I'll buy it when I buy a PS5 because you're going to.
And I almost, at this point in time, I would almost say that I think that you're in the right to do that.
Yep. It just would make the most sense for you to wait on that. Especially this is going to, everything we can tell, this is going to be a full-blown Horizon game. Because it's also, I didn't realize it's been like 4 or 5 years since Horizon 1 came out. Yeah.
Well, and somebody asked it, like, because you had speculated that it could this be a Miles Morales like game, and but now like, and I had forgotten this too, and until somebody brought it up in the group, but like the number 2 is in the title, so it wasn't like it was Spider-Man 2 Miles Morales. Like this is technically Horizon 2 Forbidden West. So they're not calling it that, but
for whatever reason, and that's probably so people will be more likely to pick it up than if they see a 2 on it and they haven't played 1. Like they're more willing to buy it if there's no number attached to it. Did you take anything away from the Far Cry thing? Like I watched it this morning and I was surprised on Ubisoft's YouTube. It was a 40-minute video. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a lot of stuff. And then I had to fast forward through 33 minutes.
It was a 30-minute timer. So people, I was reading some stuff and some comments. People hated how it looked. I thought it looked fine. Like I thought it looked like a Far Cry open world game. Again, this is coming to current gen and prior gen. So like, it's got to look like what it's going to look like, and it looks like more Far Cry to me. It's got some over the top weapons. It's got looks like some interesting backpack mechanics. Like you're going to have maybe a backpack as a weapon. I saw like she was shooting missiles out of her backpack, and they've shown some other screenshots of like a gun that shoots CDs. Like so, I mean, it's just it's Far Cry. Like it's a villain-focused story with a protagonist that typically wasn't talking, but now is talking,
because they got
which I think is great,
like a big actor to do it. So
and it's just taking place on a like they're saying it's not political, but they're focused on Cuba, like
but
whatever's going on in Cuba.
But then the head writer comes out and is like, okay, it is political, which is just funny, like the backtrack. And then I have a feeling it's going to be the New Dawn thing, where people are going to want them to go for the throat.
They get really close, and then they make a joke.
Yeah, or they just pull back completely, and it's just like, oh, okay. And then it disappoints kind of everybody. Like people go in with like expectations for it. It's
jarring in the story though, because they're kind of like leading up to a crescendo, and then the crescendo falls flat.
Yeah.
So and the unfortunate part is it takes away from 80% of the story. Mm-hmm. And that first 80% is really good usually. Dialogue, voice acting, character development, and I think hopefully it'll be even better now with a voiced protagonist going against an antagonist. But that last 20% is like it's almost like they're so close, but then I think that they're afraid to push the envelope, because no matter which direction you push the envelope, you piss off half your audience.
Yeah, they kind of find themselves in like a weird spot that kind of Marvel finds themselves in, where like if you watch WandaVision, Captain America, or Winter Soldier, Falcon, those shows build up a lot of character development, or they try to, and then when they get to the final episode, they're like, oh shit, we're a superhero show, and then they just go crazy with the action, and sometimes that just doesn't work out. And I think Far Cry games kind of have that problem where they're not consistently good, that 80%, but there's enough to keep you along to be like, I want to see where this ends, and then the end is just like, we're a video game. And then it's just like, oh, okay, we got to wrap this up now and this mission, cool.
And the problem is that it's been the same MO. And again, I love Far Cry games. The gameplay is fun, and I've said for 80 episodes on this podcast, gameplay is king. Far Cry games are fun to play, but in terms of the way that Ubisoft games are getting kind of longer and getting more time investment and even somewhat microtransaction investment, it just doesn't feel like the return on investment is worth it. It's like this, like I still, like, as I remember like playing like Far Cry 5, I'm like, wow, the stuff that they're doing, like the three different the regions and the three different villains, the sister, the brother, and that, and now I'm going after the guy, and then you go after the main guy, and it just fell flat. Mm-hmm. Like, and it sucked because it took away so much of, and I just bumped my microphone. It took away so much of what they were building in the world, and the cult thing in Montana that they were building. And in real world, like with cults, we've seen some ridiculousness happen with the end of a cult or something happening within a cult, and they just didn't push it far enough. The thing that happened at the very end, but that wasn't, I don't feel like that was an attachment to the cult. I don't want to spoil it, even though the game's been out forever. But yeah, although they spoiled it when they revealed New Dawn.
They have the problem where they want to they want to use politically charged themes to sell their game, but then they also realize that they're trying to sell their game, so then they have to pull back, and they're too afraid to like maybe offend anybody. But at that point, like, based on how they advertise Far Cry, you knew you were going to be into what's going to happen before you got that game.
Right. Well, and like Zesty writes in the chat, it looks like a last gen game. Well, it's because it is a last gen game.
Yeah, we're gonna be stuck in that.
And I'm not gonna spoil it, but you've got a crazy statistic that shows why last gen stuff still needs to happen.
Yeah. So. Let's just jump to the other streams though. Sonic did an anniversary stream showing a bunch of random shit. But they're remaking Sonic Colors. It's going to be Sonic Colors Ultimate. This was on the Wii DS era of Sonic. I have enough friends that were excited that really do enjoy that era of Sonic. I was never that... Like, the last era of Sonic I liked was the Dreamcast time for Sonic, but this is...
Sonic is Sonic.
Yeah.
I mean, when you pick it up and play a Sonic game, you have fun, but it's not one I'm going to like go out and like seek out.
Yeah, but this is one that fans were excited that it's getting remastered. Blind Squirrel Games is doing it. They just did Mass Effect Legendary Edition, and then they also did the BioShock Collection. So they at least have a good team that's going to put work into this. And since it is a Wii game, there could be a decent amount of work that needs to be done to the game to make it work.
Just the controller aspect of it.
Yeah, the controller aspect, and just visuals that would need to be improved. And then Dying Light got a release date and a subtitle, so it's now Dying Light: Stay Human. and it is coming out December 7th, which is, I don't trust that date. I don't know why I don't trust that date. It just seems like December games.
December is not a good time to release your game. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you think you would have a shot at like getting some holiday money, but in reality, most people are done by Thanksgiving. You want to get in before Black Friday sales, and at least in the US, you want to get your game out before then. So Dying Light is just, I feel like it's in one of those days where if it happens, it's fine, whatever. But there's also, I feel like, a greater chance it'll get delayed one more time and it'll come out in February.
Which would be probably better for it. And I feel like the biggest problem with the December date is that the team's already going to launch the game and they're going to kind of relax a little bit, as they should, as they've earned. But then usually, like, any of these games have something funky happen to them that needs to be patched. And they're like, oh, well, we can't really, we're on break and we're not going to really touch it till after Martin Luther King Day in mid-January. And I'm like, I feel like that's too late. Like, your game's already been, people are on holiday break playing your game, like, oh, it's broken, don't buy it. And then I think you're kind of done.
Yeah, I feel like this release date will be one of those ones we'll find out in November if it gets delayed. A couple weeks before launch, when we should be getting that Gone Gold announcement, we'll get the delayed announcement for this. But it looks good. It's just good that they kind of finally came out after like a weird long development cycle, being able to just put this out there, put a stream out there, put really anything. They announced all their collector's edition stuff, which looks pretty cool, but we'll see if that release date actually holds up. I might be missing some other streams that happened, but the important thing is we now know what the next 2 weeks are going to look like, and there's more dates to be filled. So I kind of put together a list of all the stuff that you can expect from the E3 Summer Games Fest. I think Jeff Grubb calls it the Summer Game Mess, because it is very messy on how all this stuff seems to be going together and how days are just being filled in at random. So starting June 5th, I think June 5th is like the big starting day for, at least when we get this Avalanche. We got the Guerrilla Collective Day 1. That's happening June 5th at 10 a.m. Eastern. This is Indie Showcase. Last year they did one, and it was like, I think it was the one that was like 2-3 hours long, but they're at least breaking this down.
This was like a guerrilla weekend. Like, I thought it was like a whole like Friday night, Saturday thing that was like a long stream, and you were like popping in and out on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was way too long though, right?
Yeah. So they broke this into 2 days. So the first day is June 5th. The second day is June 12th. They both will start at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So this is good that they're at least separating them by a couple weeks. I'm assuming that means that they're going to have some announcements that will be brought up, at bigger publisher showcases that they'll talk about in the second day. We just found out that Battlefield 6 will get its reveal June 9th, 9 a.m. Eastern. I am very curious about this. They've obviously been hyping it up of like, this is going to be the biggest Battlefield game, but we also know it's coming to last gen, unless they cut it off, which I believe they've done before, where they just announce one and leave last gen behind. They might have done that in the PS4 era, but I can't remember exactly. But we'll get a new Battlefield reveal. I feel like this is make or break for Battlefield, but I feel like I've said that the last couple times.
The name, just putting a Battlefield game out will sell just by default, because there's just Battlefield fanboys that are like, I don't like Call of Duty, I want to play Battlefield. And there's people that buy both, and more power to them. But Battlefield has, from the multiplayer standpoint, has felt flat to me since 4. Like, extremely flat to me since 4, whether it was Battlefield 5 or Battlefield 1, and then I just don't know, like, what these shooters can do to, like, these military style shooters can do to draw players in and to keep them. Like, there's just only so many times you can go back to the well or reinvent the wheel. Like, there's just not a lot you can do.
Yeah, the last 2 have been kind of disappointing for EA and fans, so this is going to be an important one. I think
they still sell, so there's not really any like pressure on them to evolve. This is like the same problem that Madden has. Everybody's like, this is the worst Madden ever. 22.3 million copies sold later.
Yeah, but Battlefield isn't pulling
No. Battlefield's not pulling Madden numbers like that, and it's not pulling, the problem is it's also not pulling Call of Duty numbers, but I think EA is content with where Battlefield is.
I can see them, though, getting frustrated. I feel like we'll get this one, and then we're going to start heading into the remastered territory for Battlefield, just for them to like bring some excitement.
Like they're due to like Bad Company.
Yeah.
Like people would really want a Bad Company or even like a 3, or I mean, at this point in time, like Battlefield 4 is probably getting near 10 years old.
Yeah, I mean, I know they remade 1942 once already, but like a full-blown 1942 remake would probably get a lot of diehard Battlefield fans back, because that I still think that was I'm pretty sure that's still the biggest Battlefield in terms of like that franchise. Obviously not sales-wise, because things change completely with Battlefield 3 and 4, but I think that's where most of the fans would probably like to go back to. I know I want the Bad Company games remade. I just don't know if those sold enough, but they need something.
I'm actually shocked that they haven't or aren't trying what Call of Duty did. And as much as people maybe despised it or didn't like it, I think it helped the franchise that year of skipping the campaign.
Yeah, because
like,
they've tried.
It tremendously helped them focus on the multiplayer, and and it just helped them take time to maybe take those resources that normally would be working on a campaign, which, yeah, granted, is only 6 to 10 hour campaigns that are always like kind of playable and forgettable. But the expectation of a campaign being in there, take those resources and spread them out amongst the rest of the game. And I think the repercussions of that is you got a really good Modern Warfare multiplayer, really good.
Yeah.
Like maybe I don't remember. Was it was Cold War that didn't, or no, Cold War was
Black
just the one that
Ops
came
4
out.
didn't have a single
Didn't
player.
have the campaign, but I think it gave the studios a chance to maybe take a breath and not feel like they were so fractured.
Yeah,
my opinion.
Unless the rumors were that there was a full campaign that was finished, but it was bad. But at least gave them time to analyze why it was bad, if that is the case. In terms of, I still don't believe that a full campaign was done and then they threw it out, because that just seems crazy to me.
That seems like a waste of resources. Like, if it's done, like most of them feel like they're kind of shoe-ins anyways, and people don't expect their campaigns to be like amazing. I mean, I think the last COD campaign that I played that I was like, wow, that was really good, I feel like was Advanced Warfare. The space one.
Yeah, so. that one might be. So we'll find out June 9th. No idea in terms of what we're getting, if we're getting a Horizon reveal or if we're getting a Far Cry reveal, but we'll find out. Then we have what I'm hoping is a big one, is the Summer Game Fest kickoff show. Jeff Keighley's promising a bunch of game reveals, world premieres there, a performance from Weezer, which is just odd. I feel like him doing this 2 days before E3 starts is going to be him taking a shot at E3, or at least I hope so, because I don't know if he actually has an axe to grind against the ESA and E3, but I feel like if he's picking the same weekend as them, he has to have something, at least one big thing to like anchor the whole event.
Yeah, but is he? As much as I admire his work and what he's done with like the video game award shows and stuff, and what he's done with his E3 presentations when he's done like the YouTube stuff for a long time, I think he does really, really good work. But like, does he carry more cachet right now than the name E3 for a reveal? He
might, though, in terms of having to buy in to get into the ESA E3 stuff. He might be able to pull something. The Game Awards, I think it means more than E3 now. In the current landscape.
But I also feel like it's just like E3 2.0 to end the year is what the Video Games Awards have turned into, is like as a mixture of everybody's press conferences. Like, oh well, we were going to release this in January, let's just put it on the show.
But like, that still means that they trust that platform and trust Keighley to
I just don't know. Like I feel like, oh, well, I'm going to do my thing on the 10th, and the company was already planning on revealing on the 13th. Like, if Keighley's going to have enough sway to be like, well, I want to show it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I guess like right off the bat, like, okay, so the next bullet point you have is like the Ubisoft Forward is 2 days later. There's going to be nothing from Ubisoft at Keighley's event. There's going to probably be nothing from Activision. Like, where do you start? Like, nothing from EA, nothing from Xbox.
He could get something from Activision, because Activision hasn't announced their own events.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Okay,
he could probably get the next thing from Bungie, because we're due for whatever Bungie.
Bungie will just do it themselves.
I think at this point, Bungie would probably be better off just
every time that Bungie
I think they would partner.
No, I think that they can just turn on their own streams. Like I know that I'm a Destiny fanboy, but when we had the Vault of Glass running, there was 280,000 people watching that stuff on. Like, Destiny carries enough of a Twitch audience that they'll just do it. Like, Bungie would just do it themselves.
I don't know. I feel like it would almost be better for Bungie to just partner with someone else, just so they don't bring like the somewhat toxicity that comes with Destiny.
They might put like people like Keighley might get to interview people after they reveal the game, but they're revealing the game themselves. If we see this marathon game or whatever, like the second IP that they're working on, which isn't slated to come out until 2024, 2025 anyways.
What I can see is Keighley getting the reveal, but Bungie holding their own gameplay stream where they really deep dive into it. But I can totally see a 30-second trailer that says Bungie and some like quick footage that ends with for the full reveal, check out Bungie stream next Thursday or something.
Okay, I guess I can get on board with that, but
especially we don't really know how long this is going to be, exactly what type of format it's going to be. This could all just be setting the plate for like, hey, here's a quick thing for Far Cry. See the full 20-minute gameplay thing in Ubisoft Forward in 2 days. We could see a bunch of stuff. I don't think Jeff Keighley's going to pull out the Horizon release date or anything like that, but he can probably pull some like quick trailer from PlayStation for like some of their smaller games. One that I wasn't expecting, Coach Media is doing something June 11th, 3 p.m. Eastern. This is Deep Silver. So
Time Splitters people, right?
Time Splitters,
what
Volition,
we talked about last week.
Yeah, Volition with Saints Row. I think they still own Metro.
This is kind of like exactly what we're talking about. I feel like Deep Silver would have been a prime developer for Keighley to go to and like, hey, let me show your stuff. And they're like, no, we're just going to do our own thing.
But Coach Media, I feel like that isn't a household name enough, and I don't even think Deep Silver is a household name, so I can totally see it being a situation where...
But that's exactly why they shouldn't have their own press conference.
But if they want to turn themselves into a household name, you do the reveal at Keighley's thing, and then Keighley advertises your stream coming tomorrow with more in-depth gameplay. Especially Coach Media isn't going to have...
How are you going to feel if at 2 o'clock on June 10th, or 1 o'clock your time, that you watch an hour presentation of like, come see us tomorrow, come see us next week, come see us next Thursday, if that's the whole thing? If
they're promising gameplay and at least have the reveal, I'm fine with that, because I don't expect any reveal from Keighley to last more than 2 minutes.
Saints Row 5 is real, see the thing tomorrow. Like, you're good with that?
Yeah, as long as they promise that the thing tomorrow is like, here's a 10 to 20 minute deep dive on the game. Because we never get that. Like, E3 press conferences is only like 30 seconds to 2 minute reveals and then a promise after the show to see a full stream.
Yeah, because a lot of the stuff that you're listing, I feel like would have been B-roll at an Xbox event or at a PlayStation event.
No, for sure. And that's where Jeff Keighley and the ESA, because the digital event for E3 starts June 12th to the 15th. They need to find a format for this, and Jeff Keighley is kind of running off like the dated format of like, hey, we're going to do a showcase, and a showcase to me is just quick little trailers, and then you hope you get a gameplay reveal or like actual gameplay from the developer straight up. You already mentioned Ubisoft Forward is June 12th. I'm guessing that's going to be just like all Far Cry, you would imagine? Because they're doing 2. Like, I would imagine it's only like 1 or 2 games. I forget exactly how Ubisoft Forwards were last year.
I think that we'll see Rainbow Six. I think we'll see Division Heartland. I think we'll see Far Cry. I think we'll see... They're notorious for announcing something new in June and saying it's coming out in October and then delaying it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that would be. Like, I think it's significantly too early to see anything else for Immortals if there is any kind of sequel in the works. We still need to see something with Beyond Good and Evil.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 4 or 5 things right there. I think it all depends on if they have another Ubisoft Forward planned in July, because like last year we had one in June and August, I feel like, or June and July.
Yeah, I believe they said they already are doing one.
Okay, so that might be a little bit of tempered expectations there, but if the free to play thing is to be led to be believed that it's heavy, then there'll probably be Division Heartland, which we know is free to play, like I said before, and there'll probably be something else like that's free to play. I don't know if that would be like a Splinter Cell free to play.
I could see Just Dance going free to play. People forget about Just Dance, but that's always an anchor in their press conferences. So maybe, they have to include Just Dance in like everything they do at least once, because that's like still a big seller. I know that doesn't interest me or you much at all if they spend time.
But you know what? It's what Ubisoft is. Like, whether we like it or don't like it, it's like, like selling socks isn't sexy, but it makes a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly.
So Just Dance, obviously, like I think before, like I used to always, you kind of dig through NPD and be like, Just Dance on the Wii, really? Still? And so I mean, there's something there. Like, as much as we can't criticize it, it's like making fun of Minecraft. Like, oh, look at that! Like, in Minecraft's over here. Like, sorry, like, let me readjust. I'm sitting on 5 stacks of $1 million. Hang on.
Well, yeah, especially like people don't realize, but like the last 2 Just Dance, I believe, have subscription services where it's like $5 a month. You get access to the entire digital catalog, and that probably does really well for them. And it probably also gets them around that DMCA bullcrap on Twitch. Yeah, except you can't archive those videos, but yeah, it at least keeps them going a little bit.
Yeah, it's bread and butter for Ubisoft, and kudos to them that they have a franchise they can go to and just say, hey, all we have to really do is like add relevant music to it, and we'll sell a couple million copies, and we'll be fine. Like, it can't be that expensive.
Yeah, no, it can't be at this point. We talked a little bit about this last week, but Microsoft put a date, June 13th, for their Xbox plus Bethesda press conference. So this is going to be a joint press conference. I don't know if that means they're going to do a handoff like we joked last week, but I could totally see it.
Start throwing batons across the stage. You go.
But just to temper expectations, this is only 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So there's only so much they can do, and I feel like Halo's going to take a huge chunk of this, or not like
Halo's a third.
Yes.
Guaranteed a third of it.
Yeah.
So, like, and it's going to be, and 15 minutes of it is going to be the free-to-play multiplayer, and 15 minutes of it is going to be, or 10 minutes of it's going to be the campaign, and 5 minutes of it's going to be them talking about Game Pass, it being on Game Pass. Like, that's, like, and hopefully, like, I put a tweet out this week, like, they need to show games, obviously. They need to show gameplay for games, and then they need to put dates on it. Like, they don't need to do release windows or time frame windows. Like, they need to go, Halo, November 12th. I don't even know if that's a Friday or a Tuesday or whatever. I'm just throwing dates out there. If Starfield is a thing, like, and it's supposed to come this year, allegedly, not allegedly, I don't know, who knows, who cares, whatever. If Starfield's coming this year, tell us that it's coming and tell us the day it's coming.
Yeah.
Hellblade 2, tell us if it's coming and tell us it's coming in May of 2022.
What I want from this is... I don't care about Halo, but I want a huge time dedicated to Halo just so they can get that shit out of the way. Not that Halo shit, but like just whatever fanboy bullshit that's going to come from it, get that out of the way at the beginning.
Show Halo, show your cars for Forza or whatever you're going to show, date your games, and then show us why you bought all these studios.
Show us like your next 3 games that are launching within the next year.
Whatever Obsidian's doing.
Yeah, even though they have like 3 or 4 fucking things that they're working on already announced. Which one is going to be done first?
What's Obsidian? Yeah, what's, like, I guess, show some gameplay of Fable and date it.
Yeah, but the way they were advertising Fable, that is not going to be shown anytime soon. But Perfect Dark.
I don't want to see something and then just see coming soon. Like, I've seen enough of that from Microsoft over the last 2 years. Like, if you show something this press conference within 90 minutes and now you have another 7 or 8 studios from ZeniMax that you have in there that's limiting your time frame, you need to be very poignant on what you're showing. If you want to talk about something coming soon later, then do another game showcase in July.
Or realistically, like, I don't think Starfield's coming this year, but there will be something for Starfield. You put that at the end of your press conference, but you put a year on it. You at least put a year.
Holiday 2022.
Yeah. But they need, before they do that, because I think Starfield's going to end the show. Starfield will either end it or start it, like, depending on how confident they are in it. And anything that happens between Halo and Starfield needs to be stuff coming out within the next year, like before March of next year, I feel.
6 to 9 months.
Yeah, they need something. They need...
Do you need to tell me why I need to continue to keep my Game Pass subscription, which I love, but I would like to be told why I need to keep it longer other than the surprise game here or there.
Yeah, working off surprises is kind of the little frustrating thing with Game Pass.
And then you need to, I was thinking about this just before we recorded, like, for both systems for me right now, the only thing that I feel like I've put any significant amount of time into that I could not play on a previous system as of right now is Returnal. That's it. we're 6 months from post-launch of next-gen consoles for both of them.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I thought the Spider-Man Miles Morales was jarring on PS4, but I wouldn't have known that if I didn't play it on PS5.
Yeah, you would have been fine.
Yeah. So far it's been Returnal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe the medium, maybe. But I think if they had to, they could have made the medium work on Xbox One.
Yeah. And the medium kind of was one of the situations where I felt like either the size of the team that made it or the hardware limitations on PC just kind of pulled them back just a little bit to what medium could have been, which is why I kind of just dropped the medium after a couple hours.
Yeah, it was fun, but there was nothing that was like hooking me or dragging me into to want to see more. And games don't. I feel like there's so much stuff out there, man. Games don't have enough time to be like, oh, it gets really good at like the 9-hour mark. Sorry, that's too late.
Yeah.
So Microsoft Bethesda, you can't have some cool stuff shown the last 15 minutes of your press conference when the first hour and 15 minutes of it was, please be excited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They do have the chance to walk away from this whole mess, like on top of the hill in terms of like announcements and stuff they have in their pocket.
They have a huge opportunity, Like the rest of the year for their competitor is 2 of their own games, Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, and damn, why is it completely skipping me right now? Maybe Horizon. Yeah. So that's what Sony has left after Ratchet. And I'm not saying that's what Sony has left. It's Ratchet, Ghostwire, Deathloop, and Horizon.
Yeah, the games on deck, the games that we know are coming next.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that we have.
If Microsoft can even equal that and bring some 3 or 4 games out from August until January, like this is going to be a real decision for consumers when the world's coming back to normal and there might be more consoles available of like, okay, like what's out there that I can play on each one of these systems? Like, and unfortunately, unless Microsoft does something significant on the 12th or the 13th, I'm sorry, the answer is going to be PlayStation in November.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's, and the crazy thing is like Microsoft pretty much has everything announced already. So it's now just a matter of just like,
it's just
dating
it and getting it out.
Yeah. Like we know Microsoft's next 5 years. Realistically.
We haven't heard about Hellblade 2 at all.
I know, like it showed up to the first showcase and then the second showcase was just like, hey, we got some behind the scenes stuff on our YouTube channel. And then that's it. And they spent a lot of money on those studios. So
like you said, Obsidian had to have been working on something before they bought them.
Yeah. Like they could have all just been hands on deck on the Outer World and the DLC, but yeah, they've showed us like Obsidian's like next 3 games. It's just a matter of getting those games out there and getting them into a point where they can present them. And then I'm sure Obsidian, is looking at those Bethesda properties that they used to work on and they're just like, give us a shot, give us a chance.
Yeah. And then like the last thing you have in here is the E3 digital bullet point you have in here is the E3 digital event June 12th to the 15th. And to me now, looking at all the prior bullet points to this, like it's just made it smaller and smaller and smaller.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like all we know is like Warner Brothers will have something, and I think that's like the big name. Devolver's not a part of the E3 digital event, but they'll do something.
Warner Brothers gonna show Skywalker Saga, like
Hogwarts update probably.
Yeah,
like the next NetherRealm game, which is going to probably be an Injustice game.
Yeah, and then maybe we'll get a real date for Gotham Knights.
Yeah, we'll probably get a new date for Gotham Knights and maybe...
Which is going to have to be like February or March because you got to give Suicide Squad some time to breathe, right?
Yeah, in the holiday. Yeah. And then there's rumors that Nintendo, as soon as this week, could drop their Direct for the Switch Pro or Super Nintendo Switch. More fuel was added to that fire because it was listed on Amazon in a couple of different countries. So we might get that stuff soon, but Nintendo can just do what they want. So they could skip this whole thing and then come out like a week later and just feel like, yeah, we're doing our own thing. Here's our new thing. Buy it, and people will buy it.
All right. So so Andrew's question right now is the Switch Pro or whatever they decide to call it going to be a day one purchase for either of you? So you go first.
It will be, because the main thing holding me back on the Switch is too many games are hitting like a wall in terms of what they're capable of, to where early on the Switch was my favorite indie machine, and then it kind of stopped being that because even indie games were having issues where they were struggling to run. So yes, I'm very much interested in the Switch Pro because I very much like the Switch.
Are you automatically assuming that the games that are probably struggling on the Switch right now would just automatically run better on the Switch Pro?
Yeah, they'll probably get some sort of performance boost because developers have been...
You have faith in Nintendo cares enough about prior release stuff to make it just run better on a new hardware.
Yes, especially because this isn't a Switch 2, this is just a Switch Pro. And they've...
You do realize that they released new DSs and only said that the new 3DS games are going to work better on it, right?
Yeah, but they didn't leave the backwards compatible games in the dust. Those
no,
old
but they
games
didn't
still
work better. They didn't work
but
better.
We're talking
though.
about a DS sort of situation. We're running with a little bit better hardware.
I don't think that. I don't. If Borderlands is not going to just automatically run better on the Switch Pro,
but like indie games that are being developed for it, hopefully new indie games.
in the future,
and that's
100%,
what I'm interested in for the Switch.
All right.
All right. Like
that's what I was just clarifying. Like, you don't think you're going to put Hades in the Switch Pro and it's just going to run better?
No, but Hades was developed properly for the Switch, so Hades runs fantastic on the Switch.
I'm just using it as an example.
But like, there are some indie games that just like, oh, this kind of chugs. I'm not saying that will be fixed in a new Switch, but it means if they develop a sequel to some of those indie games that chug, they might run properly.
Yeah, for me, I would have to see. Like, I guess I would have to, at this point in time, I'd have to be wait and see, only because, first of all, all right, I'm saying I'd have to wait and see, but if Breath of the Wild 2 is only going to work on the Pro, like, yeah, I'll probably buy it. Because I like Zelda, and I don't care what anybody else says about it. And other than, I would have to see like what it really does, and then what the software takes advantage of. Like,
what if it just runs better on the Switch Pro? Is that enough for you? If Zelda 2 runs better on the Switch Pro?
Yes, but it also depends on how it functions as a handheld, because I'm not a huge fan of it as a handheld.
Yeah, because like, what if it's telling you, hey, Breath of the Wild 2 on the Switch Pro runs at 60 frames as opposed to 30 frames on the old Switch. Is that enough
frames?
For you?
No, not frames. No, because I feel like anything that I play, I just get used to the frames.
Yeah. But like Breath of the Wild, didn't it have some frame rate issues or wasn't too noticeable? I don't know how you played Breath of the Wild 1, handheld or on TV.
Mostly in docked mode, and I don't recall seeing anything.
Okay.
But also, I don't ever like Zelda games. Never really seem to be like that taxing of a game to me. Like, that's kind of just like, that's why Nintendo games look like they look, because I think that they can't make them look any better.
Well, yeah, they develop for the hardware, as opposed to developing. They develop down to the hardware if they need to, and they will remove stuff in order to make it run on that hardware.
I mean, did you see that black picture of it? I don't know. I don't remember where I saw it, but it looked like it was like all one piece, and it just looked like it had bigger thumbsticks. And
there's been a lot of fan mock-ups, so I just, every time I see an image of something,
maybe I don't know what it is or not. If it's bigger, like if the screen is bigger and the grips are better, like, yeah, it might. I hate the Joy-Cons. I hate them.
Yeah, I was running into some issues with the Joy-Cons playing Knockout City, and I was just
I mean, I don't have that big of hands, but like that Hori Max, attachment thing that I have for it helps a lot. But at the same time, I'm not one of these people. Like, I played my Switch in handheld mode, like in the car or when I take it on vacation with me somewhere. But if I have access to a TV, like, I'm docking it. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not one of these people that's gonna like, and I to this day I still don't do it. I have a hard time. You listen to podcasts and play games. I have a hard time doing that. Yeah. I don't know why, but I'm not one of these people that will like put like the NBA playoff game on, or put an NFL game on TV and sit on the couch and play a Switch game. Like, I won't do that.
Yeah, it depends on what type of game I'm playing, but yeah.
Right.
So that's what's happening for E3. We'll just move on to the next bit of news. I just put this in real quick. The voice actress that played Marlene in The Last of Us is actually going to be the actor that plays that character in the Last of Us TV show. I think that's really cool. They actually like looked at performances in the game, and we're like, who could we get to do this? And then they just go, let's just get that voice actress. It makes sense. She, voiced it, did the mocap. The character model was based on her. So her bringing that character to real life is, I don't know. I like that move. I wish we'd find more instances of that.
I especially feel like the way that they're developed, like the way that video games are developing characters and actors and actresses with them, of like Nathan Fillion looks like Nathan Drake. I'm sorry. Yeah. Nolan North. I'm sorry.
No.
Nolan North. Yeah, my apologies. Nolan North looks like Nathan Drake. And, in terms of like motion cap and, characters have models to them and expectations of what we think that they're going to look like. The biggest problem that people, I feel like, on the surface have with Uncharted movie is it's Tom Holland.
Yeah.
Like
it's Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg. They do not look like those characters.
Right. But, but at the same time, when somebody like reads a book and, and again, it's weird. You read a book and the author describes a character, and then the company makes it into a movie and casts a character. Well, that's not what I thought they were going to look like. Okay, well, it's different because we know what they are looking like in a video game. So if the person can do the job as an actress, why not?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and this was that instance where they were looking to cast this character, and I don't know if they specifically asked for her, if this was like a Neil Druckmann thing of just like, we should just get her because he's very integral into the show.
Well, because Nolan North has been in television shows before too. He's been an actor, as an example. But I mean, do I think he's capable of playing a theatrical movie role of Nathan Drake? I don't know. Obviously, the director didn't think so.
Well, especially because it's been so long, and now North is like 50 years old, so it's just like doesn't really work for him to be that character. But could he play the villain he played in the Last of Us show? Probably. That would be really cool if he plays the villain he played in the first game for The Last of Us. They could pull that off. I hope we see some of the actors from the video game pop up in the show in some sort of capacity. No, this is just like the first time the video game actress is going to play an important role because she's a very big character in the series. You would imagine.
All right. Last story you have in here is a random tidbits from Sony's recent investor call. So Sony had an investor call, and they went through some list of some stuff, and there was some data that was released, and Michael and I like data. So the standard PS5, the disc version, is expected to break even or even be profitable in June. So the first thing that I took from this is that more than likely that the digital version is profitable.
No. So what I think is the inflation that they get of charging $100 extra for the Blu-ray disc drive is what's the difference in terms of money.
Oh, so you're thinking like maybe a Blu-ray only costs like $20 and they charge $100 for it?
Yeah, so the license, apparently someone broke it down. The license cost $8 and wholesale for the Blu-ray drive could cost anywhere from like $5 to $20. Okay. So they're getting a markup on that Blu-ray drive, I think, and that might be the difference. And then also, I don't know if you remember a couple months ago, there was a story that they're like, or actually a couple weeks ago, that they're going to a different chip size.
Yeah.
And that can
so if it costs $450 to make a PS5, it costs $480 to make a PS5 disc, and you're selling it for $500, but you're still losing $50 on the digital version. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
That makes. I didn't think about it that way. That makes a little bit more sense to me.
This is the one that Dave was alluding to earlier. 95.
Go ahead.
95% of PlayStation Store purchases were on the PS4. Obviously, it's a little high because there weren't a lot of PS5s out there, but still, 95% of their business was from PS4. So
I don't care how many PlayStation 5s are out there. Like 95 out of 100 people purchasing on PlayStation were on PS4. That means that your attachment rate on a PS5 is 5%, which also I'm also curious though is like, and again, it's data. Like there's not a PS5 version of Biomutant. If you buy Biomutant on PS5, is it a PS4 sale?
It's probably a PS4 sale. I think so.
So that means that, maybe the PS5 owners are buying discs.
But this is why Horizon's coming to PS4.
And Far Cry looks like a last-gen game.
Yeah, there's too big of a market, and until the shortage supply chain gets fixed and we get out of this pandemic, you're going to see a lot of cross-gen games because it just makes sense. Another bit of news, 41% of PS4, PS5 gamers are women. This is a huge increase continuously. It continues to increase. I think they put down a statistic of like 18% of PS1 owners were women. So they're just kind of showing like how much that demographic has grown for them. And it's getting to the point where that is going to determine, how they will make their games in the future. They want to make sure their games have the appeal for everybody, which I'm all for. But it's showing that, for a while people considered, like the women demographic in gaming to be a minority, and they're getting close to being almost half of PlayStation's business. Which means we'll get games.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which means we'll get games that appeal to like everybody.
Yeah. It's also why gaming is growing as an acceptable form of media.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep. Other bits of news. This one is pretty obvious. Like gaming numbers are down in terms of like the amount of people that are playing as the lockdown ends. Last year we saw everyone kind of come out and be like, people are fucking buying games online. People are playing online. Yeah. But those numbers, they are seeing them go down just slightly. Nothing crazy, but they are going down as lockdowns are lifted and, restrictions are loosened. So, but Jim Ryan, who, oh my God, look at the screenshots from this investors call. Jim Ryan just, really close to his webcam, wearing some PS5 headphones. Is just some great meme shit. But Jim Ryan basically was just saying like, this isn't anything to worry about. 2020 was just kind of an anomaly that was very financially beneficial to everybody in the entertainment industry. This is one that Dave might find a little interesting. MLB The Show has the highest user spend of any sports game on the US PSN store. So what this means is per user, MLB The Show users are spending more money than like Madden, NFL, or FIFA in the US PSN store. And now it's multi-platform, and that was also part of the slide of just like, and now we're multi-platform, which means we're getting microtransactions from other platforms.
It still makes me wonder, is like, if you buy a microtransaction on Xbox, is it considered a PSN sale?
I don't know. I doubt it, because Microsoft's getting their cut, but Sony's getting that money regardless. Right. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting that per user, I guess, like, even though there are less MLB The Show players than there are 2K or... Yeah,
but they're dedicated and they love Diamond Dynasty.
Exactly, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there are less of them compared to MLB and Madden, but they're willing to spend more money than NBA and Madden people.
Because it is more pay to win than both of those, I think, combined.
It might be. PS Now is 3.2 million subscribers, so...
That's really low.
Yeah, so it's...
really low.
It's kind of a healthy number, but I feel like it doesn't show growth, because I feel like that it's been hovering around that number for a while. I know someone will probably correct me and tell me like,
it was only at 2.1 like 4 years ago, dumbass.
Yeah, and it's just they seem to be happy with it, but I also feel like they're happy with it because they're not putting a ton of effort into it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for what's there, I mean, sure. It's so interesting how this stuff works. I tweeted this out too, because like Witcher 3 left Game Pass and now Witcher 3 is on PS Now for June. And I'm like, okay, what? Like, did The Witcher opt out of this deal with Xbox? Did Xbox say you're not bringing in the subs, or people aren't playing the game anymore? Like, I wish I understood what was happening or why it was happening. I mean,
these contracts could be super far out to where they already knew that, like, all right, when our Xbox deal expires, we have to go to PS Now.
Right.
There's all sorts of things that it could be involved with that. Though I saw a lot of people being like, oh shit, they're doing business with CD Projekt Red. And it's just like, no, Cyberpunk's still not on the PlayStation Store. So.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Witcher 3 wasn't directly published by CD Projekt Red?
Warner Brothers published that. So I don't know if they're...
And like Banco Namco in Banco Namco in Europe, right? Like
I believe so, yeah. There was a joint publishing.
CD Projekt Red, until Cyberpunk, really wasn't self-publishing their games.
I mean, they didn't even publish Cyberpunk. Warner Brothers published Cyberpunk in the U.S.
So, like, don't you think that these deals would mostly be struck with the publisher?
It depends on how their deal's structured, but yeah, there's a chance that it was struck with the publisher. But
right,
depending on,
because like, okay, again, my whole source for this information is like when we got an appointment to see Witcher, we weren't making an appointment at E3 with CD Projekt Red. We were making an appointment with a PR firm working for a publisher.
Yeah, and there was actually 2 PR firms. Warner Brothers, and then CD Projekt Red's PR person. And then when I talked to people I know at both firms, they're like, "Oh, I don't know what they're doing. We're doing our own thing."
And then from my standpoint of like I always like whenever anything Ubisoft brings out, I deal with Ubisoft PR directly because Ubisoft publishes their own games. And then when Destiny was being published by Activision, I was dealing with Activision.
Yeah.
And if I needed to get to Bungie proper, I got to Bungie proper through Activision. And then when the split where Bungie started self-publishing and Bungie actually hired their own PR person and people, I haven't been able to get through to them. So
it would depend on what the deal is specifically with The Witcher 3. It could be through their partnerships with Warner Brothers. It could just be Cyberpunk.
Right.
But
it's also PS Now is worldwide, so it gets really weird.
Yeah,
and I also feel like maybe CD Projekt Red published Witcher Complete Edition or Game of the Year Edition, like as they've gotten to different titles, they might have produced their own versions of the game, and so like I'm just using them as an example. There are plenty of other cases of game companies developing a game and not publishing it. Happens all the time.
And it also isn't crazy to think that CD Projekt Red would still get an offer for Sony over Witcher and not talk about Cyberpunk. Like, neither company is gonna... PlayStation Now...
One game is really good and one game is not.
One game would look good on their service, and CD Projekt Red right now, who also did a investors call this week that said, like, their numbers are significantly down, and they equivalent that to the fact that they're not on a PlayStation Store.
But they don't seem to be making getting on a PlayStation Store a priority, in my opinion.
I think it's a bigger mess than we think. I think they're working super hard to try and figure that out, but it's going to be a long time before we see that. Or it could be next week. Who knows? But CD Projekt Red at this point, if Sony's like, hey, shut the fuck up about Cyberpunk. Can we give you money so we can put Witcher on our store? CD Projekt Red's not going to hold a grudge. They're going to be like, okay, how much? Like, they're a business. They're not going to refuse to work with Sony, a publisher that they're going to want to work with very
because
soon.
Sony's still giving them a check. Like, and again, I'm sure it's not as big of a check as they got from Game Pass because the subscription count isn't high enough.
Yeah, but they're willing to take
Nor is the cost.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't cost as much to own PS Now as it does to own Game Pass. So.
Yeah. Another last 2 things. Apparently, PlayStation Studios will start working on mobile games, which
that scares me.
It's scary. Nintendo's been, putting some stuff out. It's worked out.
I'd rather Sony just license their stuff out to mobile developers. Like, just stop trying to do something you can't. I mean, you haven't done before.
That's probably what's going to end up happening. Is they're going to?
I hope it is. So.
They're just going to throw their studio name on mobile games.
I want a Last of Us Match 3 Jewel game, like everybody else does, right?
I mean, I'll be down for that, but yeah, I mean, the idea there's not an MLB The Show mobile game.
Right.
Like Diamond Dynasty on the phone, like it's wasted potential. And then a last bit, which they haven't confirmed this, but it was on the slide that they gave to investors. Uncharted 4 is coming to PC. So they just talked about their other markets, and they said this slideshow was before Days Gone came out, I guess, and it said coming to PC soon, Days Gone, and then Uncharted 4.
Not unexpected.
Yeah.
A marquee franchise again. Like, cool. Great that PC players, if they didn't own a PlayStation, get to experience that. I would be more hopeful that we would see like the Uncharted collection come.
Yeah, that's what I would be interested in. But
because if somebody's only been a PC gamer and if they start with 4, they're not going to have as good of an attachment. But
do they try and bring the Uncharted multiplayer from 4, or do they just bring the story?
Just the story.
Okay.
They didn't put the multiplayer in the collection.
Well, no, but Uncharted 4 has multiplayer. So do they?
So did 3.
Yeah, but
they didn't put it in the collection
because they don't want to fracture the Uncharted 4 base, and so to me that makes sense why you don't put it in the Uncharted collection.
Well, how small do you think that the multiplayer? Like it'd have to be crossplay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like if
and they don't want to do crossplay though. They just squashed Borderlands crossplay again.
They do crossplay on other games, but I could totally see them breaking their own rule for themselves. I mean, they allow crossplay games, but I'm saying like if they bring Uncharted 4, which still has a multiplayer component that's active,
I would have to see the active player base on that to see if it's even worth it. But to then hope that it would work on Steam.
I'm sure it wouldn't be difficult for them to do it. It's just would they? It's probably
I don't
no.
think so.
Yeah.
But
would that discourage PC players of like, you're not giving us the full Uncharted experience, but you're going to charge us the full Uncharted price?
You think it's going to be $60?
Days Gone and Horizon were $60, I believe. Horizon was at least.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think at this point in time, if any PC players heard about Uncharted, they've heard about the story and the gameplay, not the multiplayer.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how that would go down. Yeah, Days Gone is $50 on Steam.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's not the same price it was.
Still, it's missing a component. Wondering how that would go.
I would be surprised if Uncharted is over $40 or $45 on Steam when it comes out. Uncharted 4, because of how old it is.
It'll be $50.
We'll see.
It has to be. Yeah.
All right. What we're playing and watching. I'll go first. My list isn't terribly long, but I did get time with Biomutant.
Okay.
Beautiful looking game.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Feels kind of clunky.
A little bit. Gameplay a little clunky.
I don't like it's a very slow start.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of still trying to get through that and try not to like mentally check out. And I am not a fan of the voice acting / narration.
So I like the narrator. I don't like the
the narrator's fine, but the guy you're talking to, he's like, one guy's like,
yeah,
and then the narrator speaks, and I'm like, if you're gonna do that, like, let me read it, and then like I'm just not a fan of that. And the slow start thing that I mentioned earlier also goes with like right when you load the game up, it's like, here, make your thing, make your Biomutant, and it's a lot.
It's like 4 screens,
and then color wheels and changes to like, and I almost feel like I would have. I guess maybe I almost wish that they would have done like maybe an introductory mission for you to get a feel of how to fight and how to play, and then to kind of make your decision on what style you wanted to go with. Mm-hmm. I haven't looked or tried to see if I can change.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I've just been rocking the character I made, which is pretty much close to the default one.
Yeah, I did a couple random things sometimes with them, and I also really haven't seen. And again, it's still early, but I haven't seen the physical benefit of the choices that I made yet.
No. I don't think we'll see them for a while.
Yeah, the tutorial screens could use a little bit of finesse. It just feels. It feels a little dated in terms of the HUD, but then like the combat feels smooth. The game seems to run really well. They're supposedly doing some patchwork on the narration and a little bit of the combat, because like I said, the combat does feel a little clunky. Like attaching to a certain enemy seems to be a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, the auto aiming sort of.
Yeah.
Thing.
I like the combo system for the most part. I'm not sure if I really like the fact that it shows like the next button press in the bottom right hand corner.
Yeah, I wish you can turn that off, because like I figure I know the combos, like because combos aren't complicated, so it'd be nice if it just let me just reduce the HUD.
I'm not hating it, but I'm not loving it yet either. So
yeah, I think it's gonna be, especially for you, it's gonna be one of those games that you're gonna have to just like plow through a couple more hours before you like can truly determine like how it.
I just have a lot going on. I have a lot going on this
Yeah.
week. My son got engaged this week. His fiance's in town this week. We were getting the house ready, and now she's here. We're doing Cedar Point this week. I had Memorial Day. I got screwed on my schedule. I closed Saturday, Sunday, Monday at work on a holiday weekend, which sucked. And so there's been a lot of dad life stuff going on, unfortunately.
Yeah. Is that it?
for watching. I'm still watching Big Shot, Mighty Ducks season finale or Mighty Ducks Game Changers. I think it's worth getting through the season, Michael.
Well, no, so I watched up to, because last week I was a little bored after my COVID shot, and I saw after the reunion episode. So I think I have like 1 or 2 episodes left. It's okay. It's fine.
There's 10.
Yeah, and the reunion's like what, episode 8? 7?
7. Yeah, and then
so I have like 2 episodes.
Yeah, so there's the last 2 or 3 get pretty good. They've kind of plateaued on the character development, and they're kind of just tying some knots on some stories. And the last episode is exactly what you expect Mighty Ducks to be.
Yeah. So. I'll probably end up finishing it because again, I only have like 2-3 episodes left.
Yeah, I was happy with it. So. Looking forward to if they do more. Curious to if they do more, like what direction it's going to go, based on how it ended. So. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I've been fascinated by these fans in these NBA games that are ballsy enough to either get on a court or throw things at people. They're trying to top each other. Fascinating to me.
Like, yeah, it's getting ridiculous. It's like people were in lockdown for so long that they're just acting stupid.
Yeah.
For me, a little bit more Biomutant, but it was primarily Knockout City. Like I am playing.
I need to download this game, and I'm afraid to.
Yeah, I'm playing it like every day. It just helps that.
Did you wait? Okay, did you buy it? See, I saw you tweet PS5 share.
Yeah.
So did you? So you have it on Game Pass, correct?
Yes.
Did you buy it on PS5?
No. So they changed the free 10-day thing.
You can play till level 20.
Yeah.
You can play to level 25 now for free, right? Okay.
Yes. And
are you buying it on PS5?
I might have to because
Are you buying it on Switch?
No. So I played it on Switch and I just couldn't. I didn't like the controls.
Are you buying it on Switch Pro?
Maybe if Switch Pro has better Joy-Cons, I'll consider it. No, so I kind of lucked out.
I love giving you crap. Yeah. It's so much fun.
I kind of lucked out with Knockout City on PS5. So you know how last week I was like, I haven't had a login to my EA account in like several years. I forgot my PSN account is attached to an EA account from an old Yahoo email. So I had to start.
Now you have two Knockout City accounts?
Yeah. And I don't care because it's all just cosmetics you're unlocking. So I have.
So now you're playing it past level 25 on Xbox, but you're playing up to level 25 on PlayStation.
And then when I hit that wall, then I'll just cross play with my friends. If you decide to buy it,
you'll cross save from Xbox.
Yeah, and I'll be fine.
You're terrible.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm enjoying the hell out of the game. It really helps though, because like matches only take like 2 to 5 minutes. So even if you lose a couple in a row, you're not frustrated that you lost all that time. It's not like, when you would play like an Overwatch or something like that, and you put like 30 minutes into a match only to lose on bullshit. Like this one, even when stupid stuff happens, I'm like, oh, whatever. And the multiplayer is still lively enough. I've gotten better at like just using all the mechanics, like the tackling, because you can like rush and like kind of tackle your opponents, and you can also use that to dodge the ball. I don't understand the logic behind that. If I dodge at a ball that's going to hit me, how that doesn't count as an out. But I've learned how to play with that, and
yeah, I saw a lot of like a couple of the clips I was watching that you were playing. Like one, and correct me if I'm wrong. Obviously, you will. Like I feel like when you throw the ball, sometimes it disappears.
No, so if it's a special ball, they have different abilities, and they can turn corners. So it's not that they're disappearing. It's just sometimes it could just get kind of chaotic depending on exactly what's happening. Because.
And then I feel like some of the people you played against just didn't go after the ball.
Yeah, some people. There's a lot of people that like to get turned into a ball and then like use that as a dodgeball. So I feel like you can take advantage of those people who are just trying to
be a team player. That I can't aim. Here, you aim.
Yeah, and they just roll into a ball. But it's just a matter of just moving as fast as you can and kind of get twitchy.
Yeah, I saw a lot of dashing and stuff too.
Yeah, the dashing, it's super important in terms of, because you can catch a ball as long as you're facing it if it's thrown at you, but you can also dash last second and avoid the ball, and the auto aim will just like lose you. So there's a lot of running around and dashing, and then actually using that to like set up moves is really fun. And
nice.
I wasn't a fan of a lot of the special like dodgeballs that they have, but once you figure out how to use them properly, it gets kind of addicting. And it's a good game to where you can easily lose a half hour and get like a shit ton of games in during that half hour. So
awesome.
I'm just addicted to playing that. And then for the
so now, like you said, now the 10-day trial has expired because the game's been out for 10 days. However, EA and Knockout City are allowing people to do the free trial up to level 25. How long would you think it would take to get to 25? Roughly?
So I played like 1 or 2 hours on the PS5, and I think I'm like level 8.
Okay.
So
4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, which isn't bad. That's enough to determine if you're gonna like the game. And if you're not getting MVPs, then you'll get there even less time. So
if you suck, it's longer.
Yes, yeah. And I got a fair amount of MVPs, not to brag. So I leveled up probably a little faster than I should have. But yeah, it works really well. Like the crossplay, hopefully we'll keep that game going a little longer. I don't know if this is going to be something that sticks around like a Rocket League, or if it's going to kind of be like Fall Guys, where it's like really hot for like a month or two and then kind of fades away and finds an audience. But at least for now, I'm enjoying it. And it's just something that it's good where if you just have a short amount of time to kill and you just want to get a couple games in. But that is actually it for playing and watching. I didn't really watch anything significant to mention.
All right. So you can send us questions using hashtag AskDigitalDays. We've answered a couple of the questions already. But like we answered Andy's question, Stefan writes, would you ever go on a tour of all the baseball stadiums / American football stadiums in the country and watch a game in each one of them? If so, which stadium do you think would be the worst, either baseball or American football, and why? I would love to go to a bunch of ballparks, like baseball games. I'm not as much an NFL thing because I feel like the NFL is just 60, 70, 80,000 people, and you know there's no really uniqueness to the fields like there is in baseball. So yeah, that would be really cool. Like we talked about like stadiums that we want to go to that we wish we would have gone to. The worst, I guess, currently that comes to mind right away is the Oaklands.
Yeah.
I feel like they've been playing in that ballpark since I was born, without any kind of massive renovations. Even like I know you said that Wrigley is a dump, but even Wrigley's been cleaned up a little bit.
Yeah.
And Fenway's been renovated. Those are the super old stadiums. Like the Yankees got a new one, the Mets got a new one, Phillies got a new one. And then the other one that I would really, really want to visit is just Camden Yards, just because it's an iconic, like, cool looking, like the warehouse and the shape of the stadium in Baltimore, where the Baltimore Orioles play, and they're terrible. Like that team is awful, but their stadium is really cool. I have really interesting memories of Ken Griffey Jr. during home run derbies, like hitting the warehouse.
Yeah. So like, I think I would be down to visit most parks. Like, I'm conflicted because I feel like no park outside of the Oakland A's stadium would be like, that would probably be the worst one to visit just for like visually to go to.
Yeah.
The only parks that I would want to visit but also don't want to visit just because their fans are notorious for being shit are like the Red Sox and Phillies. Like just their fans don't have the best reputation. So like that would be the only thing that would probably bum me out about.
I would have 100% said Veterans Stadium like 20 years ago.
Yeah,
whatever. Anybody can clip it and send it to Josh or whatever. That stadium was hot garbage where the Phillies and Eagles played. Like the AstroTurf was known for like ripping people's knees in half.
Yeah,
and the stadium itself was just trash.
I guess Philly fans are tolerable or if they're winning, and then Red Sox fans are tolerable if they're losing. Like it seems in terms of.
Did you see that picture that Josh tagged me in this week?
No.
You'll have to look that up on your phone. Like look up Josh's recent tweets and look at the picture of the Phillies pitcher that he tagged me in.
Yeah, I did see that.
It's creepy.
Yeah, he does look
like Zach Wheeler. Like even like Angela showed that picture to Owen. He goes, "That looks like Daddy with a different color beard." Like.
Yeah.
All right. And then Hussein writes, "What are your top 3 sports movies, not including documentaries?" All right, mine. I cheated a little bit. I actually prepared for this one. Major League. The Sandlot,
Mm-hmm.
and Remember the Titans.
Okay. Number 1 is D2, The Mighty Ducks. Number 2 is Goon. And number 3 is 61.
Okay.
So those are mine.
It's been a long time since I watched 61.
Yeah, 61's. I don't know. I just always, for some reason, I just always like that movie.
Curry. I like Field of Dreams, but I'm just not as big of a fan of it. So.
Yeah, no, I think I liked Field of Dreams when I first saw it, but after repeat viewings, I was just like,
it's not even
long.
Curry, to be honest with you. And you take my man card or whatever if you want, but it's not even the best Kevin Costner baseball movie. That's For Love of the Game. And that's even like a romantic comedy that has a sports thing, or like I guess what you classify as a chick flick that has a sports theme to it. And it doesn't hurt that he played a tiger. So,
yeah, no, I still think Goon is like an underrated sports movie that not enough people talk about.
Yeah, that's a good point. So. All right, so those are the questions for the week. So thank you guys so much for sending those questions in. Again, you can send those using hashtag AskDigitalDays. You can put them in the Discord. There's a channel for that. You can put them on Facebook. You can put them on Twitter. You can send us an email, podcast@digitaldaysgaming.com. We have our Patreon. We're really sorry the whole entire month of May got away from us, but we're going to make it up. We'll figure it out. We haven't figured it out yet, but we will figure it out. We have got stuff and things planned. We just don't know what those stuff or those things are yet. So patreon.com/digitaldaysgaming, where you can check out the tiers. You can reach us on the socials. Main account for Twitter is @DigitalDaysPod. Michael's is the first MJC 1ST. Mine is @GoodDaveHunt. And again, links to the Facebook group, the Discord server, the Teesprings website, our Twitch website are all in the show notes. So please go ahead and check those out. I hope everyone has a great week. Keep moving forward.
Don't be a dick. See ya.